What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, yesterday we had a new game system that was announced that has left some people kind of scratching their heads when it comes to the functionality and the price. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about some controversy that has hit Nvidia after their initial reveal of 3 different video cards. One variant has people questioning exactly what Nvidia is advertising here. And we're also going to be talking about Babylon's Fall. We know that it is coming to a close as we head into 2023, and it turns out you may be able to get a copy for free right now because the alternative is in the trash. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. Very excited for this game. I thought Kingdom Battle was very good, and it was an interesting twist just overall for the Mario universe, bringing kind of XCOM gameplay in. Well, it does look like we have Sparks of Hope going gold. We can see this over on Twitter from Mario Rabbids account saying, "We are very happy to announce that Mario plus Rabbids has gone gold. Keep an eye out tomorrow for press first impressions of the games." That'll be today. You should see a lot of previews popping up. I'm sure we'll see plenty of videos, some write-ups about it. And I mean, we're kind of expecting this to go gold any time now. At least good to see that there. I mean, any of us were expecting it to be delayed. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to go about the whole thing with these previews. I feel like I should be checking into them just in case there's any interesting features or things that are revealed, but I'm kind of already sold on the game, so I'm just ready to get to October 20th when it releases. And that alone, like the 2 weeks there, ending October, is going to be a pretty busy time in gaming, but I'm really looking forward to it. Also, we did have a new update for September rolling out with the Xbox, and it did have a pretty cool feature that some people weren't aware of until it was pointed out here, which we can see this over on the news.xbox.com site. And it has customized the Xbox button color on your Elite Wireless Controller Series 2. If you were unaware, the light that is kind of illuminating that Xbox button at the top of the controller is actually RGB, and now you can change the light to whatever you would like it to be. You were already able to do this on PC. I actually remember plugging it in a while ago just to try it out, and yeah, you could change it to like red, blue, purple, yellow, whatever you'd like. Well, now it appears that they are bringing that to the Xbox so that you can change it to, it looks like they have a bunch of like predetermined colors here, then they have hue and saturation, so you can kind of play around with it and decide how you want it to look, which makes sense considering they're also moving this into the design lab, so you can kind of customize it there and then change that illuminated Xbox button to whatever you'd like. They also talk about the Elite Wireless Controller Series 2, that core that's coming out. It's the white controller. And then we also have the full library revamp on the Xbox console, so it's a bit easier to get to your different games that you have downloaded. And you can also select storage locations for your games and apps on Xbox consoles. For example, you can change the default path for installation of games. Maybe you want to go to the memory card that you have plugged in. You can do that. So overall, not a bad update for the Xbox, especially if you currently have an Elite Series 2 controller. Oh, and while we're all kind of hanging out waiting to see what Sony prices this PlayStation VR 2 headset at, which I'm really thinking this is going to be more expensive than people are assuming, we are starting to see some ads get out there. For example, they released this one. I saw it pop up on PlayStation Blog and then on YouTube, and they have a new slogan as well. This immediately hit trending for gaming, but it's "Feel a New Real." That is an interesting slogan is what I'll say there, but they just showed off some of the features with the controllers, the haptic feedback in the headset itself, and that's about it. No release date or anything really, just them kind of getting all the information that was had in some of those previews and trying to put it into a commercial-like format here. So I'm assuming we're going to find out what that price and release date is here in the next month or two, especially leading into the holidays, since it's supposed to be coming out first quarter of 2023, and that's coming up pretty fast. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get to the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with a new gaming system that has been announced. We had talked about this previously, coming from a partnership with Logitech and Tencent, and how it was going to be this cloud handheld system running on Android that would allow you to stream, say, your Xbox Game Pass or maybe your Nvidia GeForce Now games right to this handheld device that had physical controllers. Well, it has now been revealed, and unfortunately it's more money than I think any of us were expecting when we first heard about these leaks. Let's take a look, though, at some of the specifications it posted up over on Windows Central. Now, this is the Logitech G Cloud. It is releasing at a price of $350. It will have access to things like the Xbox Cloud Gaming, Nvidia GeForce Now, Amazon Luna, Stadia, Steam Link, and it will also be able to access the Google Play Store. So this should run like different Android games, which I looked at the charts. I feel like seeing things like Call of Duty, Genshin Impact, and others run on this might not be the best experience just based on some of the specifications. It's currently listed at $300 with like a $50 discount, I guess, just for pre-ordering the thing, it coming out October 18th. Anyway, looking at some of the specifications that were posted up over on Windows Central, as 4 gigabytes of LPDDR4X memory. That to me is one of the bigger drawbacks for this. If you do want to play something like Genshin Impact, it sounds weird because we're technically talking about cell phones playing this. In this case, though, it's kind of a tablet with physical controls attached to either side. 4 gigabytes might struggle a bit with some of those higher end titles on the system, but I assume like ROMs and stuff should run pretty well. It's using a Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G. I believe this is in some of the Samsung Galaxy larger tablets. Like I think the S6 Lite from 2022 uses this one, but it's an octa-core CPU, 2.3 gigahertz. Of course, the controls are probably the biggest selling feature of this because we deal with like touch screen controls and stuff. Otherwise, it having the full kind of Xbox style face buttons, a D-pad, L and R joysticks, bumpers, triggers, the whole deal there, haptic feedback, 3D gyroscope, and a light sensor. The screen coming in at 7 inches is an IPS screen. Unfortunately, it does have the bezel around it, and it is kind of odd that we do see some of these handhelds that have these larger bezels. I don't know, I guess maybe it just comes down to cost or something, but it never looks very good that way. A 1920 by 1080 screen with 60 hertz refresh rate. The battery is another big selling point for it, as it will last, they say, up to 12 hours of cloud gaming. That is like 50% brightness, so knock a couple of hours off there if you're someone who likes to crank up the brightness on the screen. Now, the other thing that this device is missing is any way to connect to like mobile towers, like 5G connections. It appears to be something that you'll be keeping around a Wi-Fi connection at all times. So at home, or I guess if you're traveling to a place, you can connect up that way. So the problem I think most of us have looking at this is the price at $350 seems pretty high. Like if you're gonna come in with like a handheld that is specifically designed for cloud gaming, which is what all the marketing says. They've even partnered with Microsoft, who released their own like press release and write-up on their website. You figured it would be cheaper. $350 that's a tough pill to swallow there, and I feel like most people will say, I'll just get a Steam Deck, because it's $50 more at $400 for a Steam Deck. And I know the Steam Deck is harder to get technically, but it is becoming easier and easier to pick one up. I double checked Steam's website, and the turnaround time currently for ordering one right now is like 2 or 3 months, whereas before it was like, hopefully next year I'll get it. And while the Steam Deck doesn't have that 12-hour battery life, it's still at least a native experience, and I think overall the package is much better for that kind of pricing at $400 versus this at $350. But let me know what you guys think about Logitech's G Cloud handheld and if it's something you're interested in. Next up, let's talk about a bit of a security issue that 2K made everyone aware of yesterday. I figured I'd make sure I'd pass the message along to many of you. This was posted up over on Twitter. This from 2K saying, earlier today we became aware that an unauthorized third party illegally accessed the credentials of one of our vendors to the help desk platform that 2K uses to provide support to our customers. The unauthorized party sent a communication to certain players containing a malicious link. Please don't open any emails or click on any links that you receive from the 2K Games support account. If you have already clicked on this link, we recommend immediately taking the following steps out of an abundance of caution, that being reset any user account passwords stored in your web browser, enable multi-factor authentication, install and run a reputable antivirus program, and check your account settings to see if any forwarding rules have been added or changed on your personal email accounts. I can tell you it is very frustrating when someone gets access to one of your accounts, whether it's on PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo, and you start seeing charges come through. I had to deal with that myself earlier this year with PlayStation. That was a whole thing there. So if you've had an email come through and you clicked a link or any of that, even if you open the email, I'd recommend immediately changing passwords all around and double checking on some of your accounts to make sure there aren't any weird purchases going through. Next up, let's talk about some controversy that has hit Nvidia after the reveal of the RTX 4090, 4080 16GB, and 4080 12GB. There were a lot of questions, obviously, around the pricing for these cards because they're not exactly cheap, and really Nvidia's strategy here is to sell like the 3060 and keep that going as the low-end card. Well, we can see this posted up over on Digital Trends, where Nvidia was asked about some of the pricing and where we are here and where we're going when it comes to price increases. This from the CEO Jensen Huang, who says, the idea that the chip is going to go down in price is a story of the past. Moore's Law is dead. A 12-inch wafer is a lot more expensive today. The idea that the chip is going to go down in price is a story of the past. That's kind of been some hope here, is that as things advance for these different chips, we could get to a position where pricing won't have to be $900 for what's essentially the base model card. And it gets a little stranger because I had gone over some of the offerings they had here for the 40 series cards they revealed during that keynote, and the 12GB versus the 16GB was strange at the time, but we had some more information that was revealed that shows us not just a difference of 4GB of VRAM. We can see this posted up here by Tech Power Up with a nice little chart showing off some of the specifications, and everybody started pointing to that 4080 12 versus the 16, with things like the CUDA cores being significantly reduced here, the boost clock being pushed up along with the base clock for the GPU, but then even like the memory bus width is lowered down to 192 bits, which also changes up some of the memory speed there at 21 gigabits per second, leading us to a memory bandwidth that is quite a bit lower from 736 gigabytes per second with the 16 to 504 gigabytes per second with the 12. So the frustration is coming in looking at this saying, well, hold on, that doesn't seem like that's still a 4080 that would match up with that 16 gigabyte card. And really, we need to see benchmarks for these, because if we see a large difference between the 12 versus the 16, I mean, that's going to be asking like, well, shouldn't this just be a 4070 basically? And you're kind of positioning as the 4080 for the naming and the marketing. And really, Nvidia can name it whatever they want, but it's not exactly straightforward and transparent with the customer base. And maybe that's just where Nvidia is now. I still don't think Nvidia feels like they're being pushed much by AMD. I mean, Nvidia basically just rules the video card market. Look what happened with EVGA. Nvidia just said, all right, it's fine. See you later. Well, it does look like AMD is gearing up for their own presentation. And yes, people are expecting new video cards from them. This was posted up on Twitter saying, join us on November 3rd as we launch RDNA 3 to the world. More details to come soon. And what we're looking for here is going to be their 7000 GPU line. And the interesting thing about this is they have actually been talking about different ways that they're even looking to reduce costs and production. And that kind of sounds like, okay, we're going to try to get some cards out there with good performance that aren't going to break the bank. And I almost wonder if we're getting to that position where people are like, wow, this thing's $900 for the base 12. But most people are like, okay, well, I kind of want the 16. If I'm really going to do this, then I'm over $1,000. I kind of miss the days when these companies would fight it out over that budget pricing, that $200 price. Remember when the RX 480 came out from AMD and it was this big thing? It was really cool to see a card that wasn't ridiculously priced. It was like $200, but it was still able to put up good performance numbers, like within reason. I mean, you don't expect it to go out there and just do 120 frames at 4K, but making a card that's centered around 1080p and then 1440p isn't a bad idea because it probably wouldn't approach $1,000. And that's kind of what I'm hoping here from AMD is they can put up that challenge to Nvidia with whatever RDNA 3 is going to inevitably look like. So at this point, I would kind of hang out and wait to see what AMD has here for us. I know Nvidia is launching the 4080 sometime in November, and the 4090 will show up in October, and there'll be a lot of hype around it, but let's see what AMD has exactly in the first week of November. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Babylon's Fall. We know that it's shutting down in about 5 months or so. It's gonna be February 28th next year. And at this point, there's not gonna be much reason to own it beyond that, because once the servers shut down, that's it. It won't function anymore. Remember, it's a live service game that needs those servers to be up just to start at all. Well, now it looks like certain stores like GameStop are just pulling them off of the shelves. We can see this post up by CAG saying Babylon's Fall is being removed at GameStop store locations. If you want a free case and coaster, maybe find one before a GameStop employee gets around to tossing it into the dumpster. They might just let you have it after they scan it. So what's happening here is it's basically being pennied out or going into field destroy, which at the time meant we had to actually break the things. Seriously, like we had a hammer in the back that was the field destroy hammer, and if something went into that pile like once or twice a month, the store manager would actually have to break these things before they put them in the dumpster. And it got a bit more strict because we were finding out that people were going in the dumpsters and taking different things out if we just threw them in there, like controllers, for example, or games like a Babylon's Fall. Strategy guides were another big one because they would get pennied out, in which case they would legitimately be put to a penny for its price, and then they'd get thrown in the trash. But for the most part, you could buy 10 strategy guides with a dime, and the store wouldn't really care. Like managers, anyone, they would just let you do that. In this case, though, Babylon's Fall probably getting pennied out or going to field destroy, which means if you go to a GameStop and they have some there that they haven't thrown out and they're just in a drawer, yeah, maybe they'll give you one for whatever reason. I will say MAG sitting on my shelf, it's still a conversation starter of, do you remember the days of MAG and what they were trying to accomplish there? The only problem with Babylon's Fall is no one really played it. Hey, unless you run across the 1 or 2 people who are holding the servers up, in that case, they can, hey, tell you what Babylon's Fall exactly was. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, which of these October games are you most looking forward to? We have Bayonetta 3 at the top, 40%, and then look at number 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 at 24%. You know what, I'm a bit more interested now in MW2 after playing the beta over the weekend. It was pretty good. I had a good time with it anyway. I thought it controlled well, the TTK was good, so yeah, I'll probably be picking up MW2 when that drops towards the end of October, but I will admit, Bayonetta 3 being there that same week, along with Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, and then also Gotham Knights, there's a lot to play in October and not enough time. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Drew saying, are we really doing the Switch Pro thing again? It's like smoking. You made it a week, but it still pulled you back in. Hey, first of all, I double checked. It's actually been like 2 months since I talked about the Switch Pro, and even then, that was during the glasses era. This is all new. We technically have to wipe the slate clean because we left that era behind, so I've only made one Switch Pro video at this time. Okay, even if we go back 2 months, technically I've made like 80 videos since then, and for most YouTube channels, that's about 1.5 years of content. So, you know, it's been like 1.5 years since I talked about the Switch Pro. Look, there's plenty of ways I can twist this around, okay? Really with the Switch Pro, it's gonna keep coming up. Switch Pro, next gen, as we go along. Trust me, there are a lot of things I don't cover here because whenever it comes up, I'm immediately skeptical. I tell you guys what exactly is happening, then I just go right into skepticism mode, like right away. So at this point, I'm like the wet blanket who's also bringing up the Switch Pro stuff, and it's like, Nintendo just needs to announce the NX already and get it out there. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Was the Logitech G Cloud. Are you thinking about picking it up, or did you see that price and go, whoa, that's way too much for what it is? And then also, what about Nvidia's RTX 40 series lineup? Are you grabbing one of those cards, or are you gonna wait to see what AMD has in store for us? And then Babylon's Fall. Are you gonna try to get a copy of this just to kind of keep in the collection to say that you have it? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.